Hi guys, welcome to the episode of TV Talk Show, and this is your host Chen Peng, and today we're gonna interview two famous animators from the Walt Disney Animation Studio, and they are Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston. Both of them worked in Disney's in 1934 and 1935, and later they became the chief animators in the studio. And maybe you guys don't know their name, but you must be familiar with some of the animations they worked on, such as Snow White, Pinocchio, and Peter Pan. You guys know them, right? Yes. And later they write a book, which is called The Illusion of Life. This is a magnificent book I've ever seen. And now, let's welcome Thomas and Ollie Johnston.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so both of you have contributed to the animation industry for such a long time, but the audience don't even know you.
We like it that way.
Yes, we're introverts.
because you guys are behind the scenes, right?
Yes.
And finally, you're here. Okay, so and a lot of people, they keep comments that they have the same experience when watching the animation from Disney. So I have a question. Did you use any personal experience when making the animations?
Well, absolutely. Before animating a character, I would look into the mirror and make the most dramatic and exaggerated facial expressions that I can muster. And then I will apply that to my character. For example, when I look in the mirror and raise my eyebrows dramatically, and then apply that to one of my characters, for example, Pluto. And if you were to notice in theaters, you would see the actors and actresses far away on the stage, and then making the most dramatic and exaggerated acting performance. And this allows the audience to see the whole scene clearly, and like what happens and how they're feeling. And this concept is also applicable to animation as well.
Yes, as Frank said, I also, of course, I do have some personal experience. I'm pretty convinced that I have the best way.
Yes.
But sometimes when I have a good plan, but you still make mistakes easily. So, but you must know that animations are open to mistakes. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, don't be afraid to make mistakes. You just have to solve them and face them. Despite facing those the problems and solving all of them, sometimes I find that some of my drawings they turn out to be a near self-portrait. Like, I think you remember Mr. Smith from
Mr.
Peter
Smith,
Pan.
Peter Pan, yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Peter Pan.
Of course.
And yeah, I don't know why, but it did turn out to be very near to my own image. And then I remember last time a young artist students came to our studio. You remember him?
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah. And he looked at my table and the board. There was a cat, and he looked at me and said, "You look just like Ruffles the cat. Even wear
Ruffles.
glasses just like
Yeah,
us."
that reminded me of the cat. That looks exactly like you, right? And I also agree that doing the animations is like not that easy, even though you plan everything well.
Absolutely.
But finally, you guys figured them out.
Yes.
Congratulations. Alright, so from the characters like Snow White, Pinocchio, and we can observe that the facial expressions, the gestures, even their emotions are like the actual human beings. So I have a question. As an animator, will you think like the characters when creating the plots?
Well, yes. In order to breathe life into the characters, I would have to think about how the characters would react to the situation and how they would make facial expressions in real life. It's not to say that they would act like that in real life, but it's more like I'm pretending how they would, and then I would just exaggerate it, as I've said before. So how we do this, myself and the other animators would take classes on real life drawing. So like there will be this subject in questions. It can be an animal, a human, or an inanimate object such as a table or a chair. And then like depending on what the subject is, the human, they would be like walking or dancing or running, and then the animals would just like do whatever it is that they are doing. And then the animators and I will just like sit around in this gigantic room and around the subject, which is like placed at the center, and then we will like take our chairs and papers and get ready, and then like sketch whatever that we see.
It was
Awesome. Yeah,
Yes.
it was awesome. And whether drawing the animals or humans are not that easy,
Yes.
and it's also the challenge for all the animators.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes,
especially to bringing them to the real life.
absolutely.
Yeah. Now I have the book, The Illusion of Life. So look, the book. There are a lot of like the pictures from Disney
Yes.
and the drawings
Mhm.
from Disney,
Yes.
and we have a lot of notes from Mr. Frank and Mr. Johnston.
Yes.
Right? This is an awesome book.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for
Yeah.
the compliment.
So I have a question.
Mhm.
Why do you guys wrote this book together in the end of your career? Because you guys have done so much for the animation industry. And what is the purpose of writing this book?
To be honest, Ollie and I had to go interview a bunch of the guys back at Disney. Some retired, but some were still working there. So all of us, we worked from the 1930s up until the 1970s. So during the interview, we noticed how like a lot of the guys, we all like learned something, and then like we all knew roughly what went on in the studio. So when interviewing, some of the interpretations and recollections that the guys had, they were like a bit different, but at the same time, we can all agree that this book is like a compilation of the knowledge that all the animators and I have learned over the years, and we have made it much more coherent and easier to understand. And for each animator, it's subjective, but the similarities are there. Therefore, the book is here.
Yes, as Frank said, so there's just a special ingredient in our type of animations. So it's just hard for the other like companies that to duplicate our elements, right? So
Yes.
we're like good in graphic, and every detail is important for us. So people may ask, what is the Disney style? You want people to look at the animation and say, oh, this is from Disney, right? And so all I can say, why would you want to read the book? Read it and you will know how is our progress, and like for those young potential artists,
Yes.
they might want to have like to continue their career in this, you may read the book.
Yes.
And of course, for those who might think, how do you make animation, the drawings move? Yeah, they just move. We can do it very naturally like this.
Yes.
But for animation, you have to draw it by scraps. So read the book and you'll know how we make them move, become
Based
lively.
on the 12 principles.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, anyone who wants to learn more about Disney animation, or when anyone wants to be a member of the animators, better to check this book.
Yes.
Yes.
Please read the book.
Yes.
Yeah. So the book, The Illusion of Life, is a top animation book, right?
Yes.
It talks about the 12 principles in it. So do you guys have any thoughts on it?
In the studio, new jargon was heard, such as overlapping and or aiming and pose to pose. So the verbs turned into nouns overnight. So at first, we would say, "Why don't you stretch him out more?" But then it became, "Get more stretch on him," or "Wow, look at that stretch on this character." You may be wondering, what's all this talk about stretch and whatnot? And we will get that in the short bit. So when these animation processes were done more and more, the animators at Disney saw that when done right, it created a predictable result. So by giving names to these animation processes, it made it easier for the animators to quickly understand how to go about animating a scene or animating a character. And therefore, we officially made up all these names, and then it is now part of the book, and it is known as the 12 Principles of Animation. So I can't go through all the 12 principles as you
Yeah,
can see
exactly.
the book is very thick, but
Yeah.
to give an overview of like maybe one or two. The first and most revolutionary principle is the squash and stretch. So in this principle, when animators animate using this principle, the characters would like have some sort of stretch to them. Like the characters literally stretch upwards or wide. So like it gives a sort of bounce to the character, and it breathes life into the characters. So for example, when the character is jumping, the character wouldn't just like go up and down. The characters, in order to jump, it would recoil down, and then as it's about to jump, it will get longer. So it goes down, it becomes wide, but then when it goes up, it becomes longer. So to make it easier for new animators to understand this concept, we always use the ball example. So the ball would bounce up and down, and then as it falls down and hits the ground, it will widen, and then when it goes back up, it will lengthen upwards, and that is the squash and stretch principle.
Yes, as Frank said, like there's another principle called the exaggeration. You remember? that?
Yes.
Once Disney asked us for more realistic. You remember that time?
Yes.
And then they said that, and when we gave them the result, they criticized us, and we were so confused. And later we figured out that for the realistic effects that they want, it wasn't the, and for the exaggeration, they didn't want the violent or too exaggerating. They wanted something to give the audience some more effects, some impact emotionally. Like for examples, like we had drawn for Donald Duck.
Yes.
There was like a scoop of ice cream that flew across the air and then hit his face. We want to make it more entertaining in a way, draw it in a way that people will look at it and laugh.
Yes.
We want it them we want to put a smile on their face.
Make them feel something.
Yeah, we want to laugh. Feel something, the emotional impact. And for the other one, of course, very importantly, solid drawing skills. You're an animator, it's very important for you to have solid drawing skills. You have to draw the directions and from all angles, from the side and the front and the back. So you would want to have a solid drawing skills. And that's very important as an animator. So for
Very
all those young animators or potential that you want to continue for this, you have to practice on your drawing skills, and that's the advice from me and the principles.
Sorry to break you.
Yeah.
There's also another principle that I would like to just share for a quick bit, which is the anticipation one, my personal favorite. So you would notice when animating a scene, there is a preceding action. So for example, you can see in real life, when someone is running, before they actually run, they will first like step down and then prepare themselves, and then they would run. So this is what we call anticipation. It allows the audience to really like absorb like what's going to happen to the scene. So we would like, instead, before the major action, which is the running, the animators would plan out a preceding action. So that is anticipation for all of you. And then if you want to get to know more about anticipation, squat and stretch, and so on and so forth, please
Better to
buy
check
us
this,
our book.
right?
Yes.
Okay, so thanks for sharing. Those ideas must be very useful for young animators and the people who are interested in the animation as well. Okay, so in the end of the interview, I would like to ask one more question. So both of you are the experienced animators, right? Do you have any suggestions for young animators?
From me, I think you can't be afraid to make mistakes. Like I said before at the beginning, right? You don't be afraid that people will criticize you. You just take it as an experience. It's hard to avoid to make any mistakes when you're doing an animation. Sometimes you think that it would be a great plan, a great idea, and when you share it to your other animators or even Walt, the result when you propose a plan for them, and then you got rejected. They said no. Don't be afraid if you experience that. It happens really frequently. So just continue to bring more ideas and speak out and talk to other people. Maybe get some opinion, get some ideas. And that's all from me, I think. Just don't be afraid to get criticized.
For me, do not be scared to embrace technology, because at the very early stages of Disney Studios, we did this. We used cell animation, which is a type of animation process where these celluloid sheets, the animators would draw on it, and then like put some paint over it, and then it will like give a sort of like depth and layer to it, and then we have like a contraption that allows the celluloid sheets to be inserted into it, giving more depth. And by learning, besides that, as over the years, we have transitioned from celluloid sheets to other forms of animation technology. And my advice to young animators is to not be afraid of technology and embrace the innovations that are yet to come and are present in order to make the animation processes much better. And that is all for me.
Okay, so thank you so much for
Thank you.
all of your sharings. And I would like to have a longer to talk, but we don't have much time, right?
Yes,
And
unfortunately.
I would like to thank you again for all the
Thank you.
pleasures that you guys bringing to us over the years.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.